What job would you like to have 10 years from now? Why?
10 years from now, I would love to be working as an environmental policy advisor for an international organization like the United Nations or the World Bank. I've always been passionate about sustainability and finding solutions to the climate crisis. I believe that working in such a role would allow me to influence large-scale policies that can truly make a difference. It's not just about a job for me, it's about purpose. Over the next decade, I plan to gain experience in environmental science, policymaking, and communication to prepare myself for this path. Also, I enjoy collaborating with people from diverse backgrounds, so an international setting would be ideal. This kind of career aligns perfectly with both my personal values and professional aspirations.
How useful will English be for your future? Why? Why not?
English will be incredibly useful for my future, both professionally and personally. Since it's considered the global lingua franca, having a strong command of English opens up countless opportunities, especially in international careers. I'm planning to work in a field that requires constant communication with people from different countries, and being fluent in English will definitely make that smoother. Besides, most of the world's knowledge, especially in areas like science, technology, and business, is published in English. So mastering the language means I'll have access to the most up-to-date research and global trends. On a more personal level, English also allows me to connect with people from all over the world and experience different cultures through books, films, and travel. It's not just a tool, it's a gateway to the world.
How much traveling do you hope to do in the future? Why? Why not?
In the future, I hope to travel extensively, not just for leisure, but also for personal growth and professional development. There's something truly enriching about experiencing different cultures firsthand. It broadens my perspective, helps me appreciate diversity, and often challenges the way I see the world. I also believe that travel is one of the best forms of education. You learn things you could never pick up from books, like how people live, how they solve problems, and what their values are. In addition, I plan to work in an international environment, so traveling to different countries would help me build connections, understand global trends, and communicate more effectively across cultures. Of course, I'm aware that traveling frequently can be expensive and time-consuming, so I'll have to be intentional about it. But even if it's just a few trips a year, I want each one to be meaningful and memorable.
How do you think your life will change in the future? Why? Why not?
I think my life will change quite significantly in the future, mainly because I have big goals and I'm actively working towards them. I expect to be living in a different city or even another country, working in a professional field that's both challenging and meaningful. I hope to be more independent, financially, emotionally, and mentally, and to have built strong relationships both in my career and personal life. Another big change I foresee is how I spend my time. Right now, most of it goes into studying, but in the future, I hope to have more freedom to explore my interests, travel, and maybe even give back to my community in some way. Change is inevitable, and while it can be scary at times, I think it's also exciting. It means growth, new opportunities, and discovering who I really am.
Describe the book that you enjoyed reading because you had to think a lot. You should say what this book was, why you decided to read it, what reading this book made you think about, and explain why you enjoyed reading this book.
One book that really made me think deeply was *Sapiens: A Brief History of Humankind* by Yuval Noah Harari. I decided to read it after hearing so many people recommend it, especially those interested in history, science, and philosophy. I was curious to see what made it so thought-provoking, and it truly lived up to the hype. The book explores the history of human evolution, not just biologically, but also socially and psychologically. It made me question a lot of the things I had taken for granted, like the idea of money, religion, or even nations. I never realized how many of these concepts are actually human-made stories that help societies function. Reading Sapiens made me think about how powerful shared beliefs are and how they've shaped the world we live in today. It also got me reflecting on the future, especially about artificial intelligence and genetic engineering, which the author discusses towards the end. I enjoyed reading it because it challenged my assumptions. It wasn't an easy book to get through, but it was incredibly rewarding. Every chapter left me feeling like I had learned something completely new or seen the world from a different angle. That's what made it such a memorable experience.
What are the most popular types of children's books in your country?
In my country, the most popular types of children's books are fairy tales, moral stories, and educational picture books. Traditional fairy tales like Cinderella, The Tortoise and the Hare, or Vietnamese folk stories such as Thang Dong and Tum Cam are still widely read. Parents often choose these because they carry clear lessons about kindness, perseverance, and justice. Another common type is moral stories with modern settings, like short illustrated books that teach children how to be polite, share with others, or deal with emotions. These are often used in kindergartens or early primary schools as part of character education. Recently, educational picture books that introduce science, nature, and even basic English vocabulary have become increasingly popular. Many parents are now more focused on developing both emotional and intellectual skills from a young age, so these books are seen as both fun and beneficial. Overall, I think the trend is shifting from just entertaining stories to books that support holistic learning and development, which I believe is a really positive direction.
What are the benefits of parents reading books to their children?
There are several important benefits when parents read books to their children. Firstly, it significantly boosts language development. Listening to stories exposes children to a wider vocabulary, sentence structures, and storytelling techniques, which helps them become better communicators later in life. Secondly, it strengthens the parent-child bond. Reading together creates a quiet, shared space where children feel safe and loved. This emotional connection is especially important during a child's early years, and it can even improve their mental well-being. Another benefit is that it sparks curiosity and imagination. Children who are read to regularly tend to ask more questions, visualize stories more vividly, and develop a love for learning from a young age. Lastly, it also helps children develop better concentration and listening skills. Since many young children have short attention spans, reading regularly can train them to focus for longer periods. In short, reading aloud is not just about passing time, it's a powerful way to nurture a child's intellectual, emotional, and social growth.
Should parents always let children choose the books they read?
I think children should be given the freedom to choose what they read, but with some guidance from their parents. Allowing children to select books based on their interests can make reading a more enjoyable and engaging experience. It helps nurture a genuine love for books rather than making it feel like a chore. However, young children may not always know what's appropriate or beneficial for their age. That's where parents play a crucial role, not in controlling, but in curating. They can gently suggest books that are both fun and educational and make sure the content is suitable in terms of language, themes, and values. In short, I believe it's about finding a balance. Total freedom might lead to poor choices, while too much restriction could kill a child's curiosity. The ideal situation is when parents support their children's reading choices while still being involved enough to guide them in the right direction.
How popular are electronic books are in your country?
Electronic books, or e-books, are becoming increasingly popular in my country, especially among young people and students. With the rise of smartphones, tablets, and e-readers, accessing digital content has never been easier. Many people find e-books more convenient because they can carry an entire library in their pocket and read anytime, anywhere. University students, in particular, tend to prefer e-books because they're often cheaper and easier to search through, especially for textbooks or reference materials. There are also many free online platforms where people can download or borrow books legally, which has made e-reading more accessible. However, printed books still have a strong presence, especially among older readers who enjoy the feeling of holding a physical book. Some people also say that paper books help them concentrate better and reduce eye strain. So overall, while ebooks are definitely gaining ground, I wouldn't say they've completely replaced traditional books yet. Instead, I think they've simply added more flexibility to how people read in today's fast-paced world.
What are the advantages of parents reading electronic books compared to printed books?
There are several advantages to parents reading electronic books instead of printed ones, especially in today's digital age. Firstly, ebooks are extremely convenient and space-saving. Parents often have limited time and energy, so being able to carry dozens of books on a tablet or smartphone allows them to read during short breaks, on public transport, or even while waiting for their child at school. Secondly, ebooks can be more affordable. Many digital versions are cheaper than printed ones, and some are even free. This is especially helpful for families who want to build a large collection of children's books without spending too much. Another major advantage is the interactive features. Some ebooks come with audio narration, animations, or clickable elements, which can make reading more engaging for both parents and children. This is particularly useful when parents want to teach pronunciation or keep younger kids interested. Finally, customization options, like changing font size or enabling night mode, make ebooks more accessible for parents with poor eyesight or those who prefer reading at night without disturbing others. So while printed books have their charm, ebooks offer a level of flexibility and practicality that many modern families truly appreciate.
Will electronic books ever completely replace printed books in the future?
I don't believe that electronic books will ever completely replace printed books in the future, though they may continue to grow in popularity. While ebooks certainly offer many advantages, such as convenience, portability, and interactivity, there are still a number of factors that make printed books irreplaceable for certain people and situations. For one, the tactile experience of holding a physical book is something that many people, especially avid readers, cherish. The feeling of turning pages and the smell of a new or old book create a sensory experience that ebooks simply cannot replicate. Many readers, particularly older generations, prefer this experience and feel more connected to the content when reading printed books. Furthermore, printed books are often seen as more reliable. They don't rely on battery life or require any technological devices to read. In places with limited access to technology or internet, printed books remain a more practical choice. However, it's clear that ebooks have a bright future due to their accessibility and environmental benefits. For example, they can help reduce the demand for paper and the environmental impact of printing. Moreover, ebooks are an excellent option for those who like to read on the go, especially with the rise of e-readers and tablets. In conclusion, while ebooks will likely continue to thrive and may dominate certain markets, I don't think printed books will ever be completely replaced. They will always hold a special place in the hearts of readers who value the physical, emotional, and even nostalgic aspects of reading.
Wonderful, thank you for joining us in today's interview. Wishing you good health and the best of luck.
Thank you very much, sir. I also wish good health and the best of luck in life.